Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to have a warning about tonight's show. You might hear stories about things found in the rear end of people. Hysterical stuff, but it might leave you slightly traumatized. Tonight's show of Baron After Dark. Good evening, everybody. Baron After Dark, Baron Norman Tag here. And I have with me someone who I'm going to embarrass her a little bit when I'm going to start talking here because she really opened up my eyes to something when I first started listening and being part of chats on YouTube. And I'll share that with her as well. So without further delay, I want to put on here the great super chatter herself. You've probably seen her around uh, Doomcock's channel, as much as a few others out there. The one, the only, Wendy Webb, trauma nurse, a Quinn Martin production.
Well, how's everybody doing tonight? How you doing, Baron?
I am, I'm upright this side of the dirt. You can't complain too much if you're that way there. So I'm keeping the worm. I'm keeping the worm starving. Let's just put it that way. And I trust you. And I trust you are doing absolutely fantastic as well.
Yep, I'm awake. I got my Bloody Mary.
She's living the good life there. She's been tormented. I want to let everybody know she's been cruel to me these last couple of weeks. Absolutely cruel. She keeps on telling me about how warm it is where she is. As I'm looking out the window at minus 20 some degrees and the wind chill and all that. She goes, yeah, it's only 60 degrees here. Yeah, we're freezing.
You want to know what the weather was today? It was
What?
80 degrees here today.
Oh, I think we got about 24 here, which is a heat wave here.
Oh
80
God.
degrees. Oh, no wonder why you need that
Yeah.
Bloody Mary. Of course, we have some people out there in the chat, and John Rendell, of course, my super wrench we had on last week. Old man is here, as well as Captain Trek himself. So, welcome, gentlemen, here. And my wife this morning she sat back and was asking me about the show tonight. She goes, "Well, she's going to be the first girl you have." Okay, yeah. So you're the first woman on Baron After Dark. So you got that little feather in the plume there.
They can't
There
take
we
that one away
go.
from me.
Nope. And hello, Sherry. Good to see you in the
Okay.
chat as well. And like I said, I was going to embarrass. I'm really honored actually to have you on the show. Of course, the first time we really got a chance to talk was on Raymond's channel, the King Dolphin TV, and we had
Yep.
it was of course you were having a little issues with your cables kept on wanting to misbehave with you, but we still had a great chat. And you were kind enough to say that you wanted to come here, which really honored me a lot because I was, like I said, I'm going to embarrass you a little bit here. When I started joining the chats and such like that, and going to the Doomcock, it was like I was used to being in chats and dealing with people in chats, but never the way I experienced in there. And the thing that really brought the scales off my eyes, you might say, was when you got hurt in the accident and all the outpouring of love
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was just out there. And it's like, wow,
Yeah.
this is something more than a chat. This is just more than a loudmouth like me making smart aleck comments in the chat and all that. This is a
Yeah.
family. People love
Yeah.
each
I
other.
was Yeah, I was very humbled by it. I really was. That's a fantastic community. That really is. That's
It
I
is.
was hit by a car while jogging on February 25th last year. So it's been almost a year since I was hit by the car.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought my leg was amputated. They saved it. I couldn't believe they saved it. But I had a severe open leg fracture to the lower leg. My spleen
Mm-hmm.
was ruptured, and I had like 6 broken ribs on my left side. They had to rush me to surgery to take my spleen out and fix my leg. And I went through, I think, 10 surgeries in a month to
Yeah.
manage to save my
We
leg.
and yeah, and Doomcock kept on giving us updates on your situation, as was allowed. What was he was
Yeah,
allowed to let us know on
right.
that. So it's like, I just remember that was the first time I experienced that. Put WW in the chat, people, for Wendy Webb, and it's like, wow, it's just like this is something
Yeah,
more. And then of course, as time goes along, you're in there, you see, when people, fellow chatters and all that, either they have something great or they do have a situation where they just need to have that support. And you start seeing that. It's like, this is a great family. This is,
it is.
it just took the wind out of my sail. And I guess in some ways, it's one of the things that helped to kind of inspire me that maybe I should do something like this. And one of the important things I wanted to do was, focus on some chatters and people that don't have their own channels.
Hmm.
But are in the chat. They talk like John himself, my super wrench, and of course yourself, which, like I said, I'm very honored to have you here. So, and thank you for being here.
Oh, and thank you for having me on.
Great. And,
But
and now I don't see the fireworks coming from the bosoms of your armor today. Does that mean Vet for Hire kept the ammo behind?
it was a gift. I don't know if you can add a gift into this. But
I don't know. That'd be great if they could. That was.
yeah. But yeah, that whole thing started as a joke with him on King Dolphin, and he was afraid that if he made a joke on there because he was talking about boo armor,
Hmm.
and you I think everybody that listens to Doomcock knows I'm a lesbian,
Hmm.
and that I was in the army. I was an army nurse. I was an army combat nurse, and boob
Hmm.
armor is actually a real thing. There is armor for women. Because let me tell you, whenever
Hmm.
you have to wear the same armor as the men wear, it's hard to breathe because you're being crushed. And so there are cups that are built
Hmm.
into this women's vests. And so he told Raymond he was going to do that for me, and then he said that he was joking. But then Raymond told me, Raymond Feliciano, King Dolphin,
Hmm.
had told me, well, he's afraid to do it. He thinks he's going to offend you. I told him he's not going to offend you. I was like, no, I am a very hard person to offend. Yeah. And
That's the
so
one thing I found out.
yeah, I am very difficult to offend. And so I had to DM him on Twitter and say, let's see what you got. And he came
Hmm.
up with this, and it's just brilliant. I love it.
Yeah,
I
he's.
got a syringe in my holster. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
You know, I
The little
found.
nursing hat that no worse nurses wear anymore.
Yep. There. Yeah, I miss those hats, to be honest. I used to watch Emergency growing up, and so I was always used to the. And I don't know if people can see that a little bit better with
Yeah,
the little
I
syringe
remember
and
that
all that,
show.
but yeah, and
Yeah,
I grew
I
up
remember
watching
that
it,
show.
and so when those started going away, the white dresses, and now it's like I kind of felt a little bit of my childhood disappeared on that one.
Well, white is really hard to get blood out of.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the last thing you need is someone walking by in the White
And
House and all
other
splattered in blood.
yeah,
Another,
and
yeah,
other
other
bodily fluids that have some terrible color and smells to it. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, I always tease the missus when she was working at the hospital and all that about her and her scrubs and all that. So her gray
yeah,
scrubs. Actually, for a while there, they wanted her department to have black scrubs. I said, "Oh, great! That's going to look absolutely wonderful. Here's someone who's going to be in the rooms. You're going to come by and deliver the drugs. You're going to be in all black. They're going, oh shit, I didn't make it. You know?
yeah. Well, actually, black scrubs at my hospital is physical therapy department.
Oh, really?
The physical therapy department. Yeah, they wear the black scrubs.
Yeah, I can't remember who grabbed. They
They
decided to move the black scrubs to another department, and then went with gray with the farm
yeah,
tech, the pharmacy department. So,
yeah.
so you
But
have multiple interesting things to talk about. Like as I was warning people, you're telling me, much to your mother's chagrin, as you informed me about the stories of people finding
she
things
actually
in
loves me.
their ruins.
Yeah,
You said you also like the supernatural and stuff. So I don't know if there's any other
yeah.
topics you wish to hit, but I'll let you start off. What would you like to
We'll
talk
see what
about?
happens.
Yeah.
Well, I think I kind of mentioned this on King Dolphin, but I didn't go into it because that's not the time of day that you can go into
Hmm.
this. But somebody had asked me what's the weirdest thing that a patient ever told me, and a patient once told me that extraterrestrials shoved a shaving cream can up his ass.
Shaving cream, be nice and clean.
And
Shave every day, and you.
yeah, and
Oh,
but but then he filled out a police report. He said
he
he was
felt
sitting
out.
on his front porch. He did. He had a police. He called the police. This, I'm not kidding you.
I
And
know you're not. I know you're not.
and so we're talking to him. He's telling us. He says, "Well, I had to call the police because I was just hanging out on my front porch. It was a nice evening, having a beer, and I saw these extraterrestrials walk up, and I decided to be, a good Earthling and welcome to Earth with a beer. And after a couple of beers, I didn't have any more, and they wanted more beer, and they got mad, and they started rummaging through my house and just took my shaving cream can and shoved it up my butt."
I didn't realize Biff and Clyde down the street were aliens. I got mad.
Yeah. So that wasn't
Oh
a very good first impression. They didn't enjoy that first impression of a human here, or at least in South Texas, to do
no!
that to a guy. What was, what was even more interesting was the funniest was whenever the surgeon pulled it out, there was no paint on it, and so we wanted to know, we didn't know what kind of a shaving cream it was. Well, it turned out to be a shaving gel. The surgeon actually sprayed some of it into his gloved hand and sniffed it, and said, "Oh, it's Edge. That's what I use." Everybody in the room, I mean, we had masks on, but our mouths just dropped, and we just couldn't believe he did that. And we nobody said anything. We just kept staring at him, and he realized it was really quiet, and he looked around. And he says, "I don't put it up my butt, you assholes." That was the funniest part of the whole thing. I think it started off with what was the
oh.
funniest thing a patient ever said to me,
And then followed through with the
and
final
followed through
here.
with the surgeon, with the surgeon sniffing the gel to see if he recognized the. That's when you know that you've been in the operating room for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, as I can kind of gather, that you start getting that unique sense of humor, and just to be able to get through these
Yeah.
situations, like people who have aliens that do things. And Zax is in the house. Hi, Zax, how you doing? Just say hi as
Well, we
people
had
come in.
a Hungarian nurse working with us at that time, and she the guy was telling her the story again, and she was just straight faced. She says, "Well, sir, you must be careful when it comes to aliens. They always want to shove things up your ass." And the Hungarian accent and straight faced. It was just like, holy crap, that was good.
I bet you
High
she
five
has some
there.
good. Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
Rick, boom, boom, and I bet you she had some wild stories too about life in a Hungarian hospital.
Yeah. She's actually back in Hungary now. We still keep in touch,
Well,
but
that's good.
she's a good friend. Yes, she's a cool chick.
uh, I just think about it. It's like the one thing I could sit back and say is the biggest thing I had is a Hasselblad up my rump when they did my colonoscopy, and that was sedated. Yeah, that was sedated and under duress. It's like, okay, I'm not necessarily going in here all hip and hop on that. I just can't imagine someone willingly taking a shaving cream, thinking, hey,
Yeah.
where can we put that? Oh, it's stuck
Well, there
now.
was no
I know.
paint
I'll
on
just
it.
no paint.
There wasn't even any paint on it. It couldn't have been the first time that happened. To get the,
Well,
according to him, it'd only been in there about an hour and a half.
uh, that's when you eat
But yeah,
something like some White Castle and all that, and have it go poof out.
yeah. Well, Jimmy, you were talking about the colonoscopy and drugged. Jimmy told me she had done a colonoscopy a few years ago. She did a colonoscopy, and of course, the guy was on sedation, and she was putting the scope in, and they were working their way in.
Mhm.
And the guy, all of a sudden, he kind of just reached, kind of waved his hand at his butt, saying, "Donnie, please, I'm trying to sleep." She could, every, everyone in the room just kind of like stopped. And Jimmy was looking around at everybody, and she's like, "I think Donnie's been here before." That's her good colonoscopy story right there.
Oh,
She's Jimmy, for those that
Donnie,
don't know. Jimmy is a trauma surgeon, and
I
she does
I
colonoscopies.
I am going to remember that story. I'm going to tell it. If the missus isn't listening in on the way home here, I'm definitely going to have to tell her that story when she gets home. Donnie, please.
I'm trying to sleep.
Well, we know who the man in that relationship is.
That's right. Oh
Oh,
dear, oh dear.
it's amazing what sedation brings out with people. I know it can bring interesting things out with me. Whenever I have to have an MRI, I need to be literally knocked out as much as possible. I have a fear of enclosed spaces like you can't believe, and it seems to be getting worse as I get older. So I have to do the open sided
Mm.
MRIs, but I still need to have that Xylopan or whatever. I don't know. She can tell what the drug
Yeah.
is that to help knock me out, and I have to have 4 milligrams of it because I'm a big guy. I have a
Wow.
it takes a lot to knock me out. It's like you hear about that elephant. I'm the elephant. Um, and where was I going with that? But yeah, she says the one time when I took that, she said that yeah, you were really a handful when you came out. You're just all over the place and singing, dancing. It's like I don't remember any of that. Said, oh yeah, I had to. It was a hard time getting you out to the car, and getting you into the vehicle, and getting you home. It's like okay. So it's like one of those things where when I die and go to heaven, I want to see that video. I'm going to go to heaven's video store and I want to rent that out, see exactly how bad I am. You know. Oh,
Whenever I had an appendectomy at the beginning of
mhm.
December, and
Okay.
it was on a Friday. I had it on very early on a Friday morning, and so on Friday evening I was on Friday Night Frolics. Well, I was getting Dilaudid, an extremely powerful pain medication,
Hmm.
and apparently during Friday Night Frolics, I typed. I don't think because my friend Olga was sitting in the room with me whenever they gave it to me because she liked watching me on it apparently, and she told me that I typed into the FNF chat asking Doomcock if dinosaurs like to be scratched behind the ears. I have no idea. I was so messed up on Dilaudid.
or as Doomcock calls it, Dilla did.
I didn't
And
believe Olga. I didn't. Yeah, he doesn't know how to say it. I actually thought Olga was screwing with me, and so
mhm.
I sent Doomcock a message a few days later and asked him if that happened, and he was laughing his ass off, saying, "Yeah, yeah, you were totally screwed up." So
John
yeah,
Rendell
I got one of
remembers
those
that.
too. Yeah, John
There
remembers
go.
that.
Yeah, there. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and that was one of the
Jeez.
funniest things. And him trying to say Dilaudid was one of the things that
Oh
just
yeah.
set my wife laughing because being that she's
Yeah.
with the farm tech and going across and
Right.
she's literally correcting him. She's yelling at the TV screen, going, "It's Dilaudid! It's Dilaudid!"
Well, there were people trying to type out the pronunciation of it in chat. He still couldn't get it
Mhm.
right.
I know. I think I might have been one of them too because because the wife's yelling in my ear. It's like, okay, okay, I'll get it in there, dear.
And people were coming up with different creative ways of the pronunciation. They were all correct.
hmm And he still couldn't do it.
He still couldn't
I'm
do
sorry,
it.
Lord.
Yeah.
I'm
At one
sorry,
point,
Lord Dorycock. We gotta get you on
yeah.
that.
Whenever I was still in the hospital from being hit by the car, I remember him trying to pronounce it and saying, "You know what? I'll learn how to pronounce it when they give me some." Because yeah, you'll definitely be asking for more. You'll remember what the name is whenever you want more.
I do have a question to ask you. Can't
Yeah.
remember if I asked John. I probably was remiss asking John last week, but for yourself, what got you involved? And you going to YouTube, watching YouTube channels, being in the chat. What drew you to Doomcock and some of the others?
The mask.
You like the mask?
The mask. Yeah, I like the mask.
I
And
mean,
you know what? I
look.
just found his content from all the others that were doing that, in that area and that
hmm
genre. He was just so different. He kind of had this
hmm
backstory. He didn't just sit in front, like a lot of these guys. They just sit there and talk. He has a backstory. He has characters. He's
hmm
got his own place at the center of the earth. It was just
hmm
very imaginative. And then once I would sit there and I would listen and I started kind of, looking at the chat and I was seeing all these people and just how nice they were.
hmm
And this was back in 2020, I guess, and like maybe midway through 2020.
hmm
And I thought, wow, look at these people. They're just, and so I kind of started here and there typing in. And
hmm
then as I talked to Doomcock more and more, and he was, didn't want to know about the surgeries, but thought it would be cool if we were allowed to listen in surgery on Fridays. And I said, well, yeah.
hmm
I said, you want us to do updates for you and stuff during? So he said that he thinks that'd make him feel like he was part of something else while he was doing his shows.
hmm
And so we,
And
started telling him what we were doing, this and that, you know.
do you actually
And
play them
this
in the
last,
operating room?
we play music. A lot of people play music. They
Okay,
play
music. But do you
music
play?
or talk shows or yeah, during
But do you
surgery.
play
The only time,
Doomcock?
yeah,
But Doomcock.
yeah, if we
Wow.
have surgery, yeah, he's in the operating room with us. Yeah,
Okay. Wow.
if I'm
So it's nice to
if
know
I'm
that the
for a
people
bit,
that you work
I'll,
with like him.
yeah, yeah. Even a lot of the surgeons do.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is
Jimmy
amazing to
loves him.
hear.
Jimmy listens
Ah.
to him from home while I'm at work on Fridays.
Huh.
But yeah, no, the surgeons, what I think what they like even better than I mean, he's a great singer, but what they like besides his singing is the variety, the jokes. Beth Arstead is freaking hilarious. Okay, she's
Yeah,
just
she definitely is.
hilarious, and she gives Harvey a hell of a time, and I love it. We all do. In fact,
What?
the OR crew just started voting on whether Beth or Harvey will win the jokes for the night or win the jokes battle. Of course, Beth is undefeated. And but
one of the things that I love about Beth is what is a arch villain. One of these days, I will be again. Um, Making her turn red and making her laugh. Some
yeah,
That
on the
was some of
arch
the
villain
funnest
things.
times. Oh,
Yeah. I've missed the
er,
last few because of different reasons, but hopefully I'll
mhm.
make the next one.
Yeah. I mean, I've been
I'll
missing
do one with
Friday, the
Algo.
Friday. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I've been missing a lot of the frolics. I need to get back to listening. By the time I get home on Fridays and all that, it's like I'm crawling into bed now. I really miss hanging out, but with my work schedule changing a little bit here, I think I'm going to be able to get back in that chat and being a pain in the ass like I used to be.
Oh, that's good. Kind of missed you there. Kind of missed
I
tuning in there.
I
Yeah.
miss all of you guys out there. I mean, I really do, and uh, who I call the Agent Pepsi One, the Friday Night Frolic sweetheart, as I call her, and of course Beth and
Yeah.
all of them out there. I mean, and Ray and Sandra and
Yeah.
everybody is just. I mean, that's one of the things you kind of get afraid. You're going to start typing in there. It's like, oh, are they going to roast me? Are they going to fry me? Are they going to whatever? And it's like, the arms are open. It's like, hey, welcome.
Yeah. It is. And I
And
was never really much for getting involved in live chats like that, but it was just so welcoming
mhm.
that you just can't help it, you know.
and I,
So
I and I think
John
it
was
kind of Yeah, and I think it kind of proves one thing: that mask will even win the heart of a lesbian.
that's right.
It's the mask.
That's right. It's the mask. It's definitely
So
not Harvey
yeah,
though.
it's not Harvey. No, Harvey's a cold shower. I mean, I think
Yeah.
John might like him because of the fez, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So of
Olga
course
is
John
doing
does.
pretty good. Olga's doing pretty good. For those that don't know, Olga is one of my OR nurses, trauma nurses, and my one of my best friends. And in fact, she's my matron of honor at my wedding in April. She had a brain aneurysm surgery right around the beginning of the year, just before the beginning of the year.
I think I
And
remember that.
yeah, she's still home. She's had a she used to talk very fast, but now
Hmm.
she kind of drags her words and stutters, but she it's starting to get better. She's going to speech therapy. She's getting around pretty good. She's not allowed to drive yet, but they're looking at maybe getting her able to come back to work in the middle of March. So
Is she the one you were saying that was afraid to be to talk on the air or anything like that because of how she's speaking right now and
yeah,
embarrassed?
yeah.
Okay.
She's the one that she's a terrible singer, and Doomcock learned that she was a terrible singer. Okay, well, I told him she was a terrible singer.
Yeah, that's yeah.
They
Be
didn't
honest.
learn. I told them. And so he started singing songs that she likes on Friday Night Frolics whenever he knows we're listening,
Hmm.
just to irritate the team. Agent Pepsi One thinks that I need to give up medicine and be her agent, but I might go broke if I don't
I've
go
never heard
deaf
her sing.
first.
Oh, Asia, she's
Uh,
that bad?
she's pretty bad.
Oh, oh,
Well, I think
oh,
she
oh,
actually
Olga
sounds
is. I thought you were talking about Agent Pepsi
Olga
One.
is.
Be
No, no, no,
oh,
no. Agent
right, never
Pepsi
got wrong.
One wants her to go on tour.
Sure, and you be. Well, was the guy that was the horrible singer from the that America's Got Talent that had like a flash in the pan career because
I
he was
never
a
really
horrible
watched a
singer.
lot of that show. I never
I
really
hardly
watched
ever
that
watched
show.
it. I never had. I just remember a few years back there was a guy.
Mhm.
I know about Wing. From I was a Japanese singer Wing that South Park made fun of with the horrible
Oh
singer that
yeah,
she was. So, and
yeah,
let's
that's
face
right.
it,
I remember that one.
If Yoko Ono has a
Yeah.
career,
Well, well, I think that Olga actually sings even more off key than what she was naturally is, just because she knows we don't like it, and that's
oh,
her
okay.
way of getting back at us. And now
Well, you
she
know it.
has turned Doomcock on us, and so he wants her to sing at us. And mainly, I think that's because they vote for Beth over Harvey on the joke battle. So
Okay.
Just kind of
And,
tame
well,
that.
what's her favorite song? What was Olga's favorite song, or is her song favorite?
It's the frog song, actually. She loves the frog
Oh,
song.
oh,
We,
everybody's
yeah,
doing the Michigan right. Oh yeah, that's a good. Yeah,
yeah.
I have to.
Hello, my
Mine is
baby.
the
Hello, my honey.
"Hello, my
Yeah.
honey, hello, my rag." And my favorite is still. I don't know. It's just I can't get it out of my head. It's the Whirling Dervish, girlfriend of the Whirling Dervish.
Oh,
She's a,
that's a good
I,
song.
I love that song so much. It's like
Yeah.
I drive people
Yeah.
up the wall with that song. You know, I'll go around singing the song and think, like, will you stop that? No.
It's kind of like, what was that song? The bird is the word from Family Guy. The bird is the word.
Oh,
Remember that?
the surfing bird, the trashman, yeah. The bird, bird,
Yeah.
bird. The bird is a word. You know, the bird, bird, bird. Yeah.
Peter. Brian
Oh, the
and
one.
Stewie kidnap and destroy the record.
Yeah, I love the what from what movie was that again? Where they're out there just smashing it.
Um,
I got a mail block in the name of the movie that they're making fun of.
Matthew McConaughey was in it. What the hell?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
don't remember the name of it.
tell you what, at 2 o'clock in the morning when it hits me, I'll call you. I'll let you know.
Okay, I'll probably be awake.
I probably
I
will.
slept all day.
Yeah, well, it, well, that's the one question I gotta ask you because you're normally working overnights, correct? On
Yeah.
most of the time. Do you keep that that sleep cycle up, or do you change it when you have your days off? Or
Uh, well, right now it's been really bad. We've been very short staffed with the issues, pandemics
mm-hmm,
issues, and I've actually not had. Today was my first day away from the hospital since the beginning of January because I am a director. I'm the director of trauma services. I'm the director over the emergency room and the trauma surgical services. I
okay,
mean, I'm over all of them, and so with all the staff members that have had to be quarantined because their kids or spouses are sick,
mm-hmm,
I myself and the my ER manager, both of us had been working since the beginning of January without a day off. So I mean, I was working Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday nights. I'd be at work. I'd stay at work instead of going home at 7 a.m. on Monday morning. I would stay until around noon, and then
mm-hmm,
Tuesdays I would come back in, and my ER manager was over the ER as charge nurse during the day shift. I was actually going into the OR because I'm also an OR nurse, going into the OR and being a charge nurse from 7 to 3 Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then I would go home at 3. I would take a nap so that I could stay up again late and then get a little bit of sleep because I didn't want to get completely off of my night shifts because they actually like that I'm the only department director that works night shifts, and because I do trauma, most of the traumas happen on the night shifts.
mm-hmm.
So, but
So there
yeah,
you are. Boom.
it's
Oh, by the
been
way,
pretty tough.
Reservoir Dogs.
Huh?
That's the movie.
Oh, there you
Reservoir
go.
Dogs. Okay, so it wasn't 2 o'clock in the morning, but okay. But so yeah, so you haven't had a chance to really change your schedule out much at all
No,
on that one.
no.
But but you
Even
did.
on before this, even before they had to start doing all this during the week stuff, I would always go in on Tuesdays. I go in at 10 o'clock in the morning because at 11 o'clock every Tuesday is a department directors meeting
Mm-hmm,
every Tuesday. So I had to go in for those on Tuesdays, and then so I'd be able to see my nurses, and then I'd go in at like 6:30 in the morning on Wednesdays and Thursdays just to be available for handoff with the ER staff
mm-hmm,
and be there at shift change from nights to days, just to so I can stay on top of everyone and make sure everybody's doing okay. They don't have any problems. But it wasn't working all day like I have been the last few weeks.
mm-hmm.
But
So
I slept all day today. I
I
completely
don't.
wasted my first day off sleeping. I didn't wake up till almost 7 this evening.
I don't think it's wasted. You needed to have that battery recharge. I think the way you've been
Yeah.
going, we're going to call the Energizer nurse. She keeps going and
And
going and going.
it's not even just our hospital. I mean, it's at all hospitals right now are having these
Oh yeah.
staff shortages because hospitals have notoriously had staff shortages anyway
Mm-hmm.
for decades.
Yeah.
This is just an all new level.
Yeah, I know. I mean,
So
even where my wife worked up here, they were having shortages, and of course, the pharmacy department and the techs were getting hit really bad. The last thing they wanted to see was my wife leave when she did. She's still technically on staff with them, but
yeah,
so she can come in on a day off and help out, which she's done now and then. But it's like, no, even in those departments, they're just they're trying to get people in as much as possible and having a hard time. And of course, let's face it, the coof ain't helping much.
no, it's not.
Mhm.
It's not. I mean, nurses or even floor nurses are at an all-time high of how many patients are being assigned for a shift. I mean, I can remember years ago nurses would complain that they had five patients, you know,
Mm-hmm.
for to take care of on a shift on the floor. Now it's like eight. It's just gotten really bad.
But
So
what
it's hard to
number
be
does
pushing
this?
along with your patients.
Yeah,
Hmm?
you're basically boom, boom, boom. At what level? At what number does it come to a point that's really unmanageable? I mean, would it be like 10 or?
Well,
I mean,
5 years ago, eight would have been considered unmanageable, but they've had to
hmm
learn to manage it.
hmm
The last couple of years, it's just become the norm because of staff shortages getting even worse.
hmm
And my daughter-in-law is a nurse. She works on the pediatric floor at the hospital I work at as a pediatric
okay.
floor nurse. And yeah, she's the pediatrics. They don't get those nurses only have five patients each because they're peds. But
hmm
she can't even imagine hearing about the other floor nurses taking eight patients. She just,
Wow,
I
it's
mean,
just yeah, it's just crazy.
yeah, 5 years
And
ago, six
uh,
was too many.
and of course, even with the emergency department, and all that, with you guys working with, you have that. I mean, just shortage, and of course, people seem to be wanting to
Mm.
hurt themselves even more in these type of situations.
Yeah, the human psyche is strange. It's
I think we're.
the things that people have done to each other I've seen do to themselves for different reasons.
Mhm.
You know, we had a guy, I
Yeah,
know John Rendell and some of the others in here, Zach's. We had a guy last year that had a new nail gun and he bet his friends that it had a special sensor and it wouldn't fire into his chest. It would only fire in the wood. And he bet on $50 that if he did it, it wouldn't shoot into his chest and it went straight into his heart.
mm.
He fired it and it went straight into his heart. We had to pull the nail out of his heart, sew him back up. Of course, I was in
Talk
front of
about
that.
yeah. Hold my beer.
Like the friends
You
were
sh-
begging him not to do it.
and he still did it anyways.
Yeah, he still
Ah,
did it. He was.
but hey, at least they got
People
money.
do some strange. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they ever collected on it. I wonder. That's actually something I'd like to know
No.
that answer. I guess I'll never learn it though. But
Yeah. Again, that's gonna be Heaven's video store or something like that.
yeah, the
Darwin,
Darwin
as Zach
Award.
says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like we were talking before going on, that we both have a healthy, superstitious respect for the full moon.
Yeah. Thank goodness I'm off tonight.
Yeah, it's the second day. It's the mid full moon.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're sitting back with the Bloody Mary, going, "Yeah, this is a good life."
Not my problem.
Not your problem.
Not my problem. Don't call me.
Don't call me. We'll call you. Yeah. Oh, there we go. We're starting to get a little Doomcock with starting to sing songs left and right.
Yeah.
Tell you, bringing that out of me. And
You don't want me to sing either. I'm
you
not.
know,
I'm
but
not a singer either.
that's the way I get the dogs howling as I start singing. It's like, oh. Mm. So what interests do you have? Are you big into science fiction, fantasy, or comics, or TV shows? I mean, something I
Uh,
would assume something like that would be something that helped draw you to watch Doomcock. Besides, obviously his entertaining approach to
well,
bringing his news, information, and shows.
yeah. I mean, I have been a Star Wars fan since Star Wars began. I mean, I was what 7 or 8 years old whenever the first movie came out in theaters, and I went and saw it in the theaters. You know,
So we're
and
about the same age.
yeah, I'll
And when you
be. I'll be 52 in the beginning of March. I'll be 52. So
Okay, yeah.
so yeah,
I'm 53, so yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that, I mean, my dad had taken my cousins and myself. My brother was too young. He was only 2. But he had taken us all to go see it at the movies, and we still to this day, all of us still love Star Wars. I mean, we are still Star Wars freaks. I
Hmm.
mean, I actually have a lightsaber that was a prop during the Attack of the Clones in the arena fight, in the arena battle.
Uh huh.
I
Hmm.
have one of those props with the paperwork.
Wow.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Was it assigned to a specific no one or just one of the background
It
characters? Or
was it was one of the background. I'd have to read the paperwork to tell you
Mhm.
which Jedi name it was, but it wasn't one of the main
Mhm.
character. But
And
yeah,
now, is it
just the
just the
fact that I
hilt,
got
or is it
something from the no,
for the
it's
movies?
the whole thing. Like whenever you see them
Oh.
practicing and stuff with Ewan McGregor and Christian Hayden Christensen or whatever his name is, they're doing
Mhm.
their fight scenes and stuff. It looks just like those, except the handle's a little different.
Okay, so be
It's
honest
a
with
prop.
me
It
when.
doesn't light up.
Mhm. So be honest with me. When the missus irritates you, do you sometimes just take that and bonk her over the head with the lightsaber?
I reach out for it and try to bring it towards me with the force, but it never works. But I mean, I've been a Star Wars fan, and whenever this whole new Star Wars, the sequel trilogy started, I was
Hmm.
willing to give the Force Awakens the benefit of the doubt because yeah, I knew there was going to be new characters.
Hmm.
But I was very more disappointed that they didn't take Finn's character and do more with that character. That his
Yeah.
character in Force Awakens was set up to be partnered, as with Ray, in my opinion, to fight against them and to
Hmm.
fight against what's his name, Kylo. I
Yep.
just thought that was a they just really destroyed the Finn character, not just besides Luke and Leia and Han, you know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But that's
and
whenever I
Alan
kind of
Dean.
started listening to some of the different YouTubers and caught up with
Mhm.
Doomcock.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, even Alan Dean Foster, who did the novelization, he said, I was writing stuff and putting stuff in there that they were wanting to do with Finn, but they told me, no, don't put it in there. Don't put it in there. There was a lot planned for these
Yeah,
characters. And I think every one of those characters got either they got short rift on everything, or in the case of Ray, uh, deified to the level of Mary Sue-ness that we have never
right.
seen such levels of Mary Sue-ness before.
Yeah. And
And
even Luke, Luke Skywalker at the beginning, he was just a kid. It didn't all come to him
mhm,
in one day. He had to figure it
mhm,
all out, you know. And it took him three
right.
movies to actually figure it out. Not like her. I mean, I
Hmm.
think that the actors. I don't blame the actors. I blame the writers.
No. Well, that's just it. I don't blame any. I mean, in some ways, I kind of blame Mary Daisy really because she was out there saying my character has no faults, and it's like, oh, you're saying that.
Yeah,
So I guess I'm a little
that's
harder on
true.
her. But
But
yeah, I mean, John Boyega, or however you pronounce his name, who played Finn, he made it
yeah,
known about how disappointed his character went. Os-
yeah,
Isaac Oscar, whoever played Poe. I have terrible names,
right.
and he's proven he's a
Yeah,
great actor, and he's a good actor.
yeah,
And again, his character was just absolutely pathetic. They made his character pathetic, not him.
right,
Even
right.
Rose, everyone gets down on Rose. It's like I have nothing against the actress, but what they
No,
did to her character, what they did to her, the studios. I'm
yeah,
not talking about the fans, was horrible.
right.
And
Yeah,
so I know what you mean. There's like so much potential that got wasted. Absolutely.
there
And
is.
I went into Disney with cautious optimism. I was cautious though, and yeah, every step is just like I've written them
Whenever,
off. I'm done with them.
oh, me too. I mean, whenever Rogue One, the Star Wars story came out, I liked it.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
thought it was good, and I had a lot of hope. Han Solo wasn't so great, but
No.
I liked Rogue One. That was a good movie. course,
Yeah,
the scene at the end with Vader slicing through everybody in the hallway was badass. So
that's what. Yeah, they put that in post production because they said we need to do something, and then they said,
yeah,
well, hey, let's do this, and woohoo, there you go.
yeah. Give everybody a thrill with Darth Vader. And I'd heard
Exactly.
that too, that it was a post production decision, and that was a
hmm
good decision. That led right
Yeah.
into episode 4. I
hmm
mean,
I mean, I had some problems with it, but yeah, I mean, it still was good.
yeah,
I mean, it gave a
yeah,
little that little woof, yeah, at the end there. But so
yeah,
I don't get too heavily critical on it. But lore wise,
right,
story wise, yeah, I do. But hey, it's good
yeah,
eye candy. You gotta like the eye candy.
right, yeah,
Again, it's the helmet,
yeah.
right?
And it's the helmet. It's badass. But I actually have enjoyed. I know a lot of people have ragged on the Darth Vader comic series that have been coming out the last few years. I actually, to me, they're not really so much part of the wokeness. It's just telling the story of Darth Vader and how he ended up being the most feared man in the galaxy. Because he does some absolute. They have him doing horrible things, and that's why he's the most feared man in the galaxy. And it kind of put things into perspective as to why he's so feared.
Yep. My alarm went off there, as you can hear. The
Uh oh.
my Cerberus alarm. My three dogs,
Oh. It's time your
as
wife
you
to
can
come
hear.
home.
That's my wife coming home. Exactly. It's like about this time every day. I think that I think people should start turning into a drinking game. It's like, okay, what exactly the dog's going to start going bonkers when the long suffering
Yeah.
comes home.
If I had to take a drink every time my dogs barked, I'd be trashed by noon.
I don't. They were doing a good job of it on Raymond's show. I was enjoying it. It's like, somebody else. Thank you.
Yeah, I could see you smiling.
Oh yeah, I'm going. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it was smiling in
that was my
solidarity.
12-year-old. Yeah, that was my
Mm.
12-year-old Whippet. She needed to go out, and
Oh.
she wasn't settling for the backyard. She wanted the leash, and she just was letting me know it.
Mm.
And it was raining
Like,
outside too. Yeah,
oh. It's like, really? You want to go out in the rain? Okay.
yeah.
My dogs hate the rain. I have to literally throw them out the door when it's time for them to go out during the rain. Literally, something's wrong
Cheyenne
with them.
doesn't care for the rain. The Whippet, she doesn't care for the rain. My other one, Ramsey, he'll be 2 in a few months. He's kind of just
hmm
a little long-haired mutt. He loves the rain. I have to call him in out of the rain or go get him and bring him in because I don't want him to stink.
Yeah,
But
that's
he'll just
just
sit
it.
out
It's like,
there.
and
Then I have to pull the
honey.
hair dryer out.
Mm, see, yeah, of course, the question asked her about Honey. Honey is my big dog. She's a terrier mix, and she's the one
Ah,
that's the most afraid of water. I mean, absolutely frightened of water. If the long suffering's out in the yard and she's got the hose, literally, Honey will try to go as far to the other end as possible to get away from the water.
that's funny.
And of course, giving her baths is like, oh, the first day we got her, she was in a cage for about 12 plus hours, almost a day, coming up from Arkansas to Minnesota here. She was dropped off unceremoniously at a pound, her and her puppies, and they suspected the reason why the puppies were the wrong color. So she came up here, and she was a foster gone wrong. She's still here after about 3 years. So that shows you
Yeah.
how wrong the foster went, but we don't mind you. We love her. And the first thing we had to do was give her a bath, and it's like, oh, you should have seen the look on her face. It's like, what? And it's like, it's was one of the coldest days we had. It was January. It's like last, a month, so it was like last month, bitterly cold. So the dog's sitting back going, what the hell is this? I am not impressed. It's like, it's all cold. You give me a bath. What type of fresh hell is it? Then it started warming up a little bit. The snow came out, and then I looked out the window, and she's just jumping around in the yard, chasing the snowflakes, all happy as can be. It's like, okay, you're acclimating.
Yeah. My dogs love baths. I have never had dogs that loved baths in the past. For some reason, both of these do. I have to, if I don't make sure I close the door to the bathroom completely,
Hmm.
Cheyenne will push it open and jump in the shower with me.
In some ways, I wish I had that problem. Make it easier for them to get
and
them washed.
and all I have to do is say to Ramsey, "Are you ready for a bath?" And he hops up and runs. Because I give him, and I have a little special drain that I put over my shower drain to catch the hair and
Hmm.
stuff. And I
Oh
ask
yeah,
him if he's
you
ready
need
for a bath. He'll run into the bathtub and hop in. I put the little drain down. He's ready. They
I'm
love
ready. I'm
that.
ready. I'm ready.
I've
I'm ready.
never had dogs. Yeah, but whenever he
Yeah.
was a
So.
very young puppy, because I've had him since he was 8 weeks old. Whenever I was giving him baths, at first, of course, he was being a regular little puppy and howling and screaming like like I was killing him. But I started making a game out of it. Afterwards, I would play with the towel with him and I would kind of just fluff it up over him and then rub him down real
Hmm.
fast and silly and then fluff it up again and he would roll around and enjoy it. And now that's his to him, I guess that's what he gets for taking a bath is he gets to
Hmm.
play on the bed and play with the towel and be silly.
Yeah. And enjoy the good life. The
Yeah.
first dog we had, unfortunately, she's not with us any longer. We she was basically we were for her last year's home. Her name was Heidi. She was a dachshund, and she was a former show dog. And
Mm.
she lived to be about 15 and a half years. We had her for about 3.5. So this dog is used to being pampered. So it's like it's time for a bath. Okay, yes. Okay, I'll lift her. Oh, okay, yeah. Wash, wash. Oh, yes, and all that. Okay, make sure you get this dry. Make sure you get this dry. Oh, you're gonna trim my nails. Okay, trim my nails now. Make me look like one of those French poodles over there. It was like Miss Diva City. Rest of the dogs forget it.
I actually
I
had
would.
one of my previous dogs that she passed away. She had ended up with renal failure.
Oh,
She
okay.
passed away in 2014, but
Uh,
she was kind of a diva. She wasn't a show dog. I'm not sure
mhm.
what kind of a she's just kind of a mutt, but she looked like a miniature Labrador, yellow lab. Looked like a miniature yellow
Okay.
lab. She weighed about 30 pounds. And whenever I was getting my makeup on for work, or Jimmy would be getting her makeup on for work, or getting all ready, she wanted the makeup, so I'd have to put a little bit of blush on her cheeks. If I was painting my fingernails, she'd put her claws out for me. I mean, she was a little diva. She wasn't a show dog, but she just liked it.
Mhm.
It was
Just
funny.
enjoy. It's just okay. I enjoy being spoiled. Most dogs do.
Mhm.
That's what I found.
Yep.
So, moving from dogs, I know you sat back and said you like to have the supernatural and such as
Yeah,
well.
we've had some weird things. I used to be a skeptic,
Hmm.
believe it or not, until I started working night shifts at the hospital. I was actually a skeptic and just kind of always put it off. It's your imagination. I seen
Hmm.
some strange things in the middle of the night at the hospital.
Oh, really?
In fact, just a few months ago, one of our anesthesiologists, and we all were sitting at the nurses' station. This is on a
Hmm.
Saturday night. And we were just sitting there. There weren't any surgeries going. We were just kind of chit chatting. And we saw one of our anesthesiologists walk through, but he never looked at us and he just walked right past us.
Hmm.
And we started calling his name and got up because we never heard any double doors open for him to leave the OR,
Hmm.
but he was nowhere to be found. And 2 hours
Hmm.
later, we got a phone call saying that he died of a massive heart attack.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Hmm. And this was a few
that
weeks ago,
was this was just a few months ago.
a few months ago. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, it was. Well, we found that out. We were like, well, he was no, he was here, and they were like, when did you see
Hmm.
him? So he was like 2 hours ago, and they're like, he just died.
Wow. And it was multiple people that
Yeah,
saw him too. It wasn't just one person.
all of us, all of us. We were just sitting there shooting the shit, at the nurse's station, and he
Has
kind of
anybody
walked through.
has anybody seen him since, or anything like
No,
that?
it was kind of like maybe his final pass through or something. I don't know.
Hmm.
It
On
was
my
just
way
very
out.
strange. Yeah,
Oof, duh.
that was. But There's lots of
I
weird
know there's.
noises. Like I was telling you, the pharmacy techs don't like to have to come up to the OR in the middle of the night because they
Mm-hmm,
think it's creepy. We don't have to. It's not even have anything to do with surgeries. They just think it's
mm-hmm,
creepy. They hear weird noises and see shadows. We see shadows all the time.
mm-hmm.
We'll see like a head, a shadow head, look around the corner and disappear. And you get up to check, see if somebody's there. There's nobody there. You
Huh.
know,
And it's just
our scrub
boom.
sinks, are activated by motion. So you don't turn on them. There is no button to just turn the water on. You walk up to the
Mm-hmm,
sink and you put your hand out in front of the motion detector, and it'll turn on.
mm-hmm.
And that's the only way you can turn it on. We'll all be
Right.
sitting chit chatting, and we'll hear a scrub sink go off, and there's nobody around.
Huh. Just
Um, yeah,
wow. I suppose
so,
a lot of people sit back and say places where you have a lot of trauma sometimes and people passing and all that.
yeah,
Something is left
yeah.
behind.
Well, we
With
are
that,
a
sure.
level one trauma center. We are a level one trauma center, and we're associated with the University of Texas. So we're a big
Okay.
hospital. So
And I can
we're
imagine it's an
we're
older
well.
one too.
This facility was built about 22 years ago. I think it was built
Oh,
in 2000 was whenever it was opened. So it's
okay.
about
So
22
not
years old.
that
It's a
old.
newer facility. No,
Hmm.
no. There was
But
another
still.
facility before that. I was actually still in the army then. I did my 20 in the army. I didn't get out of the army till 2008. So,
Okay.
but there was another facility that they shut down and moved all the staff members into the new facility.
Okay.
Because the other facility had been built in the 40s,
Mhm.
so it was time for an upgrade. It was
Yeah.
cheaper to build a new hospital.
Yeah, sometimes it is in some
Yeah,
cases. Sometimes it is that type of situation where you have to go in there and take all the asbestos
yeah.
out and this and that, especially when it's dealing with a hospital in that aspect. Um, is there anything else that you've really seen besides the shadow and of
Yeah.
course your passing
I
colleague?
had actually Doomcock had me come on his Halloween show the Wednesday before Halloween, piercing the veil,
Mm-hmm.
because he knew the story, and it was about us. And so I went onto the show live and I told the story. He I know Zax and John, maybe a couple others have heard it, but
Mm-hmm.
we had this 16-year-old girl that had pulled out, and this was in the middle of the night, pulled out in front of a tow truck, and the winch on the front of the tow truck actually went through her door and impaled into her.
Mm,
And whenever as the vehicles separated, the the energy pulled her out onto the street. Well, she was still alive when she got to when she got to the ER, so we took her to surgery, but her injuries were not conducive with life. I mean, she had a young, healthy 16-year-old heart, so it just
mm-hmm.
eventually gave out. And while we were cleaning the room, it was Olga, David, and I were cleaning up the room. And I was actually out of the room at that second, but they both heard them both kind of gasp. And I turned and walked back, and they were pointing at one of the far corners of the room. And they both said at the same time, she was just standing there. Well, her
Wow.
body was still on the bed. Her
Mm-hmm.
body was still on the OR bed because it was such a messy room. We didn't want to have to drag a stretcher in through all the blood on the floor and then
Mm-hmm.
drag that stretcher out and take that blood out of the room. We wanted to contain it. So we just were cleaning around her
Right.
body.
Mm-hmm.
And so we ended
And
up, we ended up just mopping out and clearing out just enough space to get a stretcher in and out to take her out and take her to another little safer room to keep her. Cause I couldn't take her let her out of my custody because it was a
mm-hmm.
police
Right.
investigation. So until the coroner came
Mm-hmm.
to pick her up, she had to stay in my custody.
Okay. Yeah.
So a little bit later, after we'd finished cleaning the room, the reports from her drug screen came back, and she had tested positive for everything. I mean,
Wow.
pot, cocaine, heroin, alcohol. So she was flying high when this accident
Mm-hmm.
happened, and I was actually kind of disgusted with it, because we were upset. We just lost a 16-year-old girl, How
Hmm.
tragic this and that. And then we got the drug screen back, and it was like, why? You know, what
What a
just
waste.
frustrating.
Hmm.
Yeah, exactly. It was a waste.
You're, you're
And
you're starting your life out,
I was,
and
yeah, you do this to yourself. And I was picking supplies from the supply room because now I'm getting more supplies to reset up the room for another trauma.
hmm.
And I had a bucket of supplies in my hands, and I had turned around and I saw her apparition standing right in front of me.
Oh,
And I can tell you right now, I don't know why I didn't run. Because if it had happened to me, if somebody had told me that was going to happen beforehand, I'd have said, "Yeah, right, I'll be running like hell."
hmm.
But I just
Please
remember
don't throw me out.
I just looked at her. Yeah, I just looked at her, and she just had this weird look on her face, and I interpreted it at the time as anger, which Corey on Witch in Residence said it probably wasn't. But I told her, I said, "Look, you tested positive for everything: drugs, alcohol. You pulled out in front of a tow truck. You got hit. We tried to save you. We have actually cried because we couldn't save you. We didn't
Hmm.
do this. You've done this to yourself." And she disappeared. And I still get
How
chills. I'm
long?
getting chills right now. I mean,
Yeah,
but
I got goosebumps. I honestly do. I'm not kidding.
yeah, I still have goosebumps because I lived through it, and it's just like I can't believe I ever witnessed that. But I had actually felt terrible because I was speaking to her in kind of an angry voice. But which
Hmm.
Corian Witch in Residence had told me, he said that that was probably the best thing that I could have done to make her pass on, to move on.
Hmm.
And so
Yeah, that
that,
that chiding. It's like you're
that
done here. You
yeah,
yeah. How long
yeah,
after
this is what
was
you
that
did.
happen? How long after
That
did
was
that happen?
maybe about an hour after we declared her.
Okay,
It wasn't
so
very
and the
long.
doc. Okay, and the
Her
report
body was
came that
still in
fast
the
back.
OR.
Oh, it was
The,
still there.
the the
Okay,
report came back. The report came back while we were cleaning the room.
okay.
She survived on the OR table for about 15 minutes.
So
So
that young heart and probably some of the drugs in there had probably helped keep her going. A little bit of that adrenaline rush, and then
yeah,
finally
yeah.
gave out. Yeah,
But
and
there,
now.
if she had lived, if she had lived, she would have never been the same. They would have had to. We would have had to have done what's called a hip disarticulation, which
Hmm.
is where you amputate the leg at the hip joint. She
Okay.
would have lost her complete leg at the hip. Her abdominal cavity was ripped wide open.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there was some very, very non conducive with life injuries. Her femoral artery was, iliac arteries were ruptured.
Hmm. When
But
you
yeah,
saw the apparition, did the apparition look like she did after the accident, or did it not look that way?
her face really wasn't messed up in the accident. All of her injuries were from her rib cage down,
Hmm.
because that's where
And you
the winch pierced her just below her rib cage, and the other part of
okay?
the winch was right at her about mid thigh through her femur.
Okay.
And
So the
so,
other
but
part,
from the
that part of
head
the
up,
body
she
was
was fine. Yeah.
okay. Okay. So
But I
okay. So
all
you
I
see
really
that.
looked at was her face. So I do
Hmm.
know, I remember that I could see the cabinets behind her.
So
But
it was
I mean, it was just
translucent.
her face.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Now you were saying you were a skeptic. How long ago was it that you started changing your mind on that? That that
I started
skepticness.
working the night shifts because I left the army in 2008.
Hmm.
Um, I worked in the regular operating room from 2008 to 2012, and I was actually part of the Heart team back then.
Hmm.
In 2012, when they reorganized the staffing of the OR, because we no longer had enough staff to cover 3 shifts, so it was going to have to be
Hmm.
two 12-hour shifts per day. That
Ew.
I was moved to a night shift, and I was put on a weekend night shift because I do hearts, and they needed somebody on a weekend night shift that knew how to do heart surgery for heart trauma. and that's how I ended
Mm-hmm.
up where I'm at. It started off like that, and not on when back it was back in 2012. I started seeing these weird things and just like chasing shadows, and finally
Mm-hmm.
everyone else who like even Olga had been a skeptic, and she became a believer too. David was he wasn't. I would just say he was kind of like, either way, not a true skeptic.
Mm-hmm.
But when he started on the shift and he started seeing things, he started bringing in voice recorders, and he started doing EVPs in the middle of the night when we weren't doing anything. And he has EVPs
Oh,
that he's
really?
recorded. Yeah,
Huh. You'd think that
but
these people that do these shows out there would be wanting that, wanting to have copies of that. Has people wanted a
yeah,
copy of those, or
no, he's not something that he's put out there on the internet or
right?
anything. It's just his own
Okay.
personal. It's just for him personally, just to make sure
Mm-hmm.
it made. He started doing it because it made him understand that no, he wasn't crazy. He was,
Okay.
there were things that he couldn't see,
Mm-hmm.
and we could hear voices and stuff in rooms, and we'd walk into the room. Of course, there's nobody in there,
Mm-hmm.
but you hear voices. You know, things falling off the shelves, but
Mm-hmm.
not unusual. You walk, especially the main trauma room, the trauma room we use the most for general trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's the room that probably has the most deaths. Uh, it's room one. It's not unusual to walk in there and see a lot of our dressing sponges knocked from the shelving onto the floor.
Huh. Wow.
So
Do,
it's just
do
weird.
you name
It wasn't
do you
something.
name any do you name any of these poltergeists? Like, when you're hearing something, it's like, Hank, quiet, or Sally, shush.
There was one time, and this wasn't anything that we could actually see with our own eyes, but what we could see, what was happening as a result. We were doing a spine surgery one night, and of course, the
Mm-hmm.
spine surgeon, the neurosurgeons, they wear these headlamps, and it has a cord
Mm-hmm.
that comes off the back, and you plug it in to a light box. And during the
Mm-hmm.
surgery, he he didn't turn around or anything. He just said, "Whoever's hitting my light cord, stop it. It's bothering me."
Mm-hmm.
And I was standing across from him because I was assisting him because
Mm-hmm.
an RN first assist, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
certified and licensed to help to assist surgeons. And I was kind of like looking back. I was like, "There's nobody behind you." And he was like, "What? Somebody hit my cord. Somebody must have hit the light box." And I said, "No, I can see over your shoulder. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
was there." And so it had stopped. And then maybe about 20 minutes later, it started again. And he didn't say it out loud, really loud, but he said to me, "Did anybody touch my light cord?" I said, "No." And so he just kind of said to the room in general, "Stop it. You're really bothering me. I'm trying to save this patient and keep them from becoming paralyzed. Please stop doing this." And it stopped and didn't happen anymore.
Hmm. I started going back to the old church I grew up in, and just a second here, I just got a tickle in the throat. And there was always a legend about a ghost being in our church that I grew up in. And I think his name was George. Yeah, they called him George. And the one story goes is the pastor, he was down there leading something, a meeting or something in the basement, and you could hear the footsteps going up and down in the sanctuary and all that. And Pastor Raywalt goes, "George, stop that. We're having a meeting." And they just stopped. Boom. Came to an end.
Huh. I'm not sure. I
I
think that
always remember.
may. I, I wonder though if it's churches when they have spirits in them, maybe people that were a part of the church
Hmm.
instead of maybe something malicious. Maybe just people
Yeah, I
that
never.
still like going to church and
Mm. Yeah, it was nothing malicious. It was nothing malicious at all. It's just that people would hear the footsteps, and that's about it. And nothing falling, nothing dropping, nothing destroyed, nothing in that fashion. Just that people hear footsteps, they go up there. It's like there's nobody here, and then after a while, they just started calling him George. And then
Yep.
that one night when the pastor was having his meeting, he goes, "George, stop it!" And that was it. Boom. He stopped making noise that night. So
Hmm.
I have to
Well, I
bring
don't
that
know.
up when I
You were
start.
asking me about TV shows and stuff earlier. I do like that
Mhm.
TV show called Kindred Spirits on the
Okay.
Travel Channel. I don't necessarily like a lot of the investigation, paranormal investigation shows. I like that
Hmm.
show because they're very respectful with their approach, and I think that they
Hmm.
get some really excellent results because of their respect that they give the spirits, and
Well, yeah, I find
trying to
some.
help them.
Mhm.
And
I
I
mean,
do like
myself,
that show.
I find myself, when I've seen some of these shows, is those investigative shows, and I do put the little quotes on it, just like, what a bunch of hooey hawk BS! This is all sensationalized stuff, but occasionally you come across something
Yeah,
like you're saying that's not the norm, and it's like, okay, now this gets to be interesting. It's like when I found
they don't.
Art Bell for the first time.
Yeah, right. And these guys, they don't freak out and start screaming and running around. And Ghost
Hmm.
Adventures, I used to think that was an okay show when it first came out, but they've just
Hmm.
gotten a little over the top.
Hmm.
And
Schmaltzy.
just, yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
But
And
but
that was your
Kindred
Yiddish word of
Spirits,
the day, folks. Schmaltzy. Okay.
excuse me.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I
I
need to
mean,
take a drink of my Bloody Mary.
you better have a drink. You're having the same problem I was, except I don't have Bloody Mary. I just have this water. Ah,
That's boring.
yeah, terrible stuff. Fish do things in it.
Yeah, that's why I
uh,
always try to take my water. I try to get the fish smell, lemonade.
mm.
Put Crystal Light in there.
Yeah, there we go. I'm just needing to have some water because it's been so damn dry. It's so dry that this is the driest I've ever had or felt in my life up
Hmm.
here for some reason. And it's like, yeah, I need to have a little bit more water. So it's like, resisting the urge to grab the whiskey bottle and have a little Even Williams and sticking with the old water on that
It's pretty humid down here all the time. I mean, I'm
one.
about an hour drive away from the Gulf of Mexico and deep
Okay.
South Texas, near the border of Mexico, and I'm
Hmm.
about an hour away, and it's humid here year round. Every now
Oh,
and
man.
then we'll get a cold front come through, and it gets down into the high 40s, maybe mid 30s.
Yeah, rub it in. Rub it in. Just rub it in. I'll let you know when we have those cooler days here in Minnesota, and you're baking and broiling. Oh, I am I lost? It looks like we lost Miss. Oh, there she is. Let me bring her back. There she is. Hello. Oh, lost her again. Okay, so when we wait for our lovely Wendy Webb to come back on here, just talking a little bit. I just want to sit back and see about next week's show. Do a little pre before that. And, oh, there she is. Never mind. I'll save it for later. Welcome back, Wendy.
If you can hear me, I may have to get out and come back in because I've lost volume. I can't hear you.
I can hear you. I can hear you. So if you need to
Give
hop
me a
out,
second.
I'll give her the thumbs up. She should know that there. So, okay. So while I have her away there, I just want to have a little bit of a preview for next week's show, of course. We're going to have Zax, who's probably hiding out still in the chat there, next week. It might be a little bit more of a topical show next week because with the new Tolkien travesty that Amazon is doing. I haven't had a chance to say much. I know he has, but I'm ready to unload on this. So he and I will be talking about that. I'm sure other stuff. So I'm looking forward to having him on board the show next week. Um, I think I'm going to be on the Nerporial broadcast tomorrow. They're going to be talking about Return of the Jedi, and I've been kind of. I think they kind of deem me the lore master of Star Wars, so I'm looking forward to that. So I think his show starts 6:30 Central Standard Time. I won't be able to get in there until about 8:30. So give him a little bit of mercy, you might say. And of course, I just want to remind people about the Primetime Kings. Of course, Fat Steven Seagal out there. Anybody get a chance? Please go to Fat Steven Seagal's channel. He's been doing live, basically showing the live raw footage of what's been happening in Canada with all the protesting up there, stuff that you do not see on the news and the media. He's been doing yeoman's work, and I've been giving him, I have to give him a lot of kudos and praise for what he's doing out there. So if you get a chance, hunt down Fat Steven Seagal and give him a thumbs up and let him know that he's doing a good job. And I just want to let you know he's showing us he is not necessarily taking a side on anything. He will go after anybody he figures that's stepping out of line on it. He's doing a wonderful job of actually being a true journalist in this world of where journalism has been lost. And speaking of lost, but we have found Miss, or
Yeah.
sorry, Nurse Wendy Webb is back again. How are you doing?
Well, Raymond Feliciano had given me the title Trauma Warrior. So
Drama War.
that's why it says Trauma Warrior. Yeah.
There we go. Yep.
But yeah,
Raymond's
I
good.
couldn't hear you. For
Yeah,
some
I
reason,
heard
I
you,
couldn't
but
hear you.
so
Yeah.
I was hoping I was giving the right amount of signals that okay, I understand, I hear you, and all that. So
Yeah.
as
I
best
just had
I
to
can. Oh,
reset it.
and I just got his first book the other day in the mail. I'm waiting with bated breath on getting the second one. So you know what's going to be next on my reading list, his Dolphin War
Yeah.
series. So
I've
actually, I
already
kind
read
of took
both
it
of
over
them.
the weekend. Okay, so
Hell of a
don't
twist.
spoil it. Hell of a tale.
I'm not going to. No.
Yeah.
I've already read
So,
both of them. I'm waiting for the third one. He's still writing it.
hmm well, if you ever
I
get
like
a
a good
chance to
sci-fi
listen to this,
story.
and Raymond, if you ever get a chance to listen to this, get to work. We're waiting.
That's
Get that
right.
book done.
Don't pull
Don't
up a
be like
Dan
what's
Brown on me.
yeah, exactly.
He put out the
And
Da Vinci Code, and it took him years to put out another book.
hmm well, look at the people that like the what is it, the Song of Ice and Fire series with George R. Martin. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get to the next book when I feel like it. Why you keep on bothering me
Poor
about
George.
it? So what
Yeah.
if I promise I'm going to do it? I make it to it. It's like, yeah, schmuck. And that's
Yeah.
your other Yiddish word of the day, schmuck. Okay, there we go. I just want to show that we have. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. I mean, when it comes around to a lot of supernatural, part of me is skeptic, but I do have, but but it's not one of those that's blind skeptic where it's like I'm just gonna, everything's all foolish or whatever, blah blah. Because I've had odd things happen to me as well in my life. I mean, just like I have to be honest. I don't believe in alien life form myself, but yet I seen a UFO. So how do I explain that to myself? I know what I saw, but it's like okay, well I saw that. No,
Well, how do you
obviously
know
there's
it's
something more.
actually from another planet? Maybe it's somebody
Well,
from a time slip.
now you never know, and that's just it. And the thing is, my belief is a sad one. I wish I could say I did, but my belief system about alien life is twofold. One, it is religious. The other one is scientific. And then the scientific part is the what brought life on this planet. What they describe in with the
Yeah.
primordial ooze and all that, with the fact that we have the moon, which was a major factor, replicating that exactly again out there is nigh to impossible. The fact it happened the first time, and you've had science fiction out there where they on a scientific approach saying, yeah, man is the only creature out there. One of the best ones is Red Dwarf, as a comedy show, but still uh, plays on that aspect of it. But I remember I was driving home from work and I saw. I always look up in the sky because we're not too far from the field over here, Flying Cloud Field, and they have old warplanes. They have and so I'm used to looking up and seeing some of these old planes flying. I worked in the airline, so I always got my eyes to the skies. Oh, okay, that's a 747-400 and stuff like that. It's just something that it's just I'm so used to just looking up and seeing what's up there. And when I was driving home, I just saw this odd formation of something, and it's like, well, okay, birds. No, no, that's not quite birds. And it was like round black balls, and with little antenna almost. And as ridiculous as it sounds, looks like like a little antenna V'ing out from the top. And working in the airlines like that, the first thing that came to mind is, oh, that's a Fokker F-20, Fokker F-27 engine fire extinguisher, because that's what it looked like. If I've talked to some of the mechanic, they
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what I'm talking about. And I'm watching it, and it's like, no, okay, so I'm driving along, and sometimes it's pretty obscure, but then there still are. I'm going down the hill. It's like, okay, they're going over the Minnesota River Valley. They're going over, as far as I can tell. And then all of a sudden, they turned white, just white, not a flash or anything, but like they turned white and they disappeared. And there's no clouds around at all. And it's like,
Hmm.
what the hell is this? So it's like, well,
Yeah.
and what goes in the book, it's a UFO. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. Um, just like you said, well, maybe it's from another dimension, another time. You never know. Which what
Yeah.
the movie Millennium was all about, where they're going back in time
Right.
and snatching people and bringing forward. Horrible
Yeah.
movie. Horrible movie. But
Well, I
yeah.
mean, there's a theory that it's a future Earth civilization coming back to keep us from screwing things up royally.
hmm
Hence
Yeah.
the reason that they're so interested in the nukes, uh,
Yep.
nuclear weapons, and I whenever I was one of my deployments in Afghanistan, and of course I was on I was a helicopter, I was a combat nurse on a helicopter
hmm
assault group,
hmm
and there were some things that we saw in the air with us that it was no aircraft we'd ever seen before.
hmm
And the pilots are, that's I don't know what that is. That's not anything, and it kind of looked like a tic tac, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. hmm
So, you know,
And and that's the misnomer. They talk about flying saucers, and the guy where they got that phrase from, flying saucers, he wasn't reporting that the craft looked like like saucers that were flying. He said they looked like they're like saucers that were skipping, flying saucers that were skipping across the
right.
sky. And of course, everyone starts thinking, okay, they instantly go for the, oh, okay, they're just saucer shaped, blah blah blah, and that's how you got that brought into the vernacular, you might
Mhm.
say. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot of
I mean,
weird, strange things.
what I saw, I had my night vision on, and I
hmm
saw this little tic tac thing, kind of doing the same thing, kind of almost like bouncing across an air current
hmm
and moving a heck of a lot faster than anything we have that we make. A heck of a
hmm
lot faster. And disappearing in the mountains. And if you, of course, going through the villages, the Afghan villages, and you'll hear the elders talk about them. And they'll tell
hmm
you they live down under the mountains. That's where they live. They come in and out of the mountains.
Yeah.
I mean,
So
they
like,
have no qualms about it. I don't know. They don't know who they are, but they know where
hmm
they come in and out of. You know,
have they ever gone and shown some people this is where it is, and they actually point? That's where they come out
no,
of. Okay.
no. To them, it's just like, oh, those are the underground dwellers. They're the ones that come out from their in their crafts from outside the mountain. They live underground, and that's all they'll
It's the
say about it.
Morlocks.
They really don't go into it. Yeah, they
Hmm.
really just don't care. It's these little white tic tac looking things.
Yeah. Yeah. They come out.
So
They leave
I
us
don't
alone. We
know if
leave them
they're
alone.
extra. That doesn't tell me they're extraterrestrial. If they're living underground in our mountains or under our seas, that doesn't make them extraterrestrial,
It's.
does
Well, I
it?
think I know what it is. No, it doesn't. No, it's Doomcock's taxi.
Well, that's true. So he took
Yeah.
a flight over Afghanistan in the middle of a war, huh? He's
Well,
braver
you
than
never know. I
he
mean,
thinks he is.
well, he is the future ruler of the earth. I mean, he's got a show.
It's true. That's
Yeah, I
true.
mean, it's amazing. And we start talking to some of these people about these strange things. It's like, yeah, we know about it. They leave us alone. We leave them alone. Life's happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
hmm
And that's what it is. It's like they don't bother us. We don't bother them.
hmm
Why should we bother them?
Exactly.
They leave us alone. But
You have going around with all that, and of course, you have the spiritual side stuff that that happens out there. I've had a couple experiences myself that makes me scratch my head on that one, but So it's like as it goes, is I guess it comes down to the skeptic part of the person who's bringing it forward compared to the fact that it happening. Because you have so
Right.
many people that go out there and they're fabricating stories, and like one guy was sitting back saying he was down. They were down in Florida and they're part of a UFO watching group, and he said that yeah, here we are. We're overlooking the Miami-Dade airport. It's right down there. You can see the 737 coming in. You can hear the 737
Oh
coming in.
yeah.
But we had someone that was in our group that would sit back and say, "Look, it's a UFO." No, Hank. No, that's a 737. No, no, no. That's a UFO coming in, and he was serious. It wasn't a joke. So it's like,
Yeah.
what do you have for
No.
people that are making stories, taking claims, whether it's about ghosts or flying saucers
And
or things
yeah,
like that.
there are a lot of things. Of course, I don't know if you ever sometimes. Of course, Ozzy Osbourne is a hilarious guy. Um,
He is.
his son has that show where they did the Osbournes Want to Believe, and
Hmm.
every time their son shows Ozzy and Sharon one of those videos of a UFO, he always calls it ball lightning. Oh, it's just ball lightning.
Yep.
Everything is ball lightning. But he said
I'm
he
surprised.
believes in UFOs.
I'm surprised he didn't fall back to the old swamp gas, like the U.S. government was saying with Project Blue Book
I
and all
don't think
that.
I heard him say that when he was everything was ball
Uh,
lightning, and poor Jack would just get so frustrated with them. That's kind of a funny show.
you know,
That's more of a he's just pulling clips off the internet to show his parents and try to see if he can make them believe in it. And for the most part, they don't. But it's a funny watching them because there's times where they're loving on their little dogs more than they're talking to Jack, and he's like, "This is what it feels like whenever your parents don't love you anymore."
ask my daughters. Ask my daughters. They know the dogs and the cats have replaced them fully.
Yeah, my son figured that one out himself a few years ago. But now he can't say anything because they have 4 dogs, 2 cats, a bird, and an aquarium full of fish. So I just got 2 dogs.
Yeah, aquarium, also
Uh,
known as TV for cats. Yeah.
yeah. They have
No,
on
so he.
YouTube. There are YouTube channels for dogs where you can just turn it on and it'll be like just a video of birds coming in and landing and eating. And I turn it on for my
Mhm.
dogs. Whenever we're
I
both
do
going to be
too.
gone, we put it on for our
Hmm.
dogs. Ramsey, our my younger one, Ramsey, he watches it. He loves it. As soon as I turn it on, he sits there and stares at it. Cheyenne could
Yeah,
care
we
less.
do. Yeah, we do the same thing. Actually, we put on more of the dog music because they seem to respond more to that than the videos where you see the dogs walking to the beaches and
Yeah,
stuff. Definitely, we do that. So it seems to help them out on that one.
yeah.
Um, the one
Yeah,
thing though
the
is,
birds and then the little squirrels, the birds and the
mhm,
squirrels. Ramsey loves watching that. He loves it.
see what I'm afraid of is they'll see that on there, and then jump from my TV, and I come back home and there's a TV dead because they jumped for it. Yes, they're
One
good
of another
dog.
dog that I had another dog, and she was a rescue, and I don't think that she had ever actually spent a lot of time in a house before.
Hmm.
Um, this was back in I think 2000. It was right after I got out of the army, so it was 2008. Whenever I adopted her as a rescue,
Hmm.
and she was a kind of a funny dog because she had nothing. She knew nothing about inside. And the first time she came in, and she just kind of sat there next to me and looked at me. And I turned the TV on, and she looked at the TV, and she just kind of looked at me. And she just kind of stared at it.
Uh oh. I think we might have lost her a little bit there too again. So we'll wait for her to return because I'm having a feeling this is going to be an interesting dog meets TV world. And while we're here, Pacific 414, welcome to the show. Wendy, you there?
And I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah. So this I named her Gemini, and she started watching one night. I decided she liked watching TV. I thought it'd be interesting to put on the Westminster Abbey dog show. So I turned it
Oh,
on, and she never took her eyes off of it the entire time. And every time, and of course, every year for the rest of her life, we watched it. And whenever she
Mm.
saw a dog that she liked, when that dog would get up, if they would start their little trot back and forth, she would trot back and forth with the dog and then hop up back on the couch with me. And
Huh.
she was a very, very smart dog. Frasier, the show Frasier, we had Eddie, was the dog on the
Yep.
show, the
hmm
Jack Russell Terrier, and
Yeah.
that was her boyfriend. She thought that was her
Aw.
boyfriend, but she, unfortunately, I had to have her put down. And she was already several years old whenever I rescued her, but she started
hmm
having really, really serious seizure problems to the point where they couldn't
Oh.
control it anymore. And so
Mm.
they it was, I mean, to the point that during the night before I took her and had her put down, it was like an emergency put down because she had started seizing like every hour and a half that night
Mm.
and just
That's so
crying
sad.
in between. And I was just counting the hours for the vet to open so I could end it for her.
hmm
And but she
Exactly.
was a funny dog. The first time she saw me, I took my clothes off to get in the shower, and she was standing there in the bathroom, and I was or in the bedroom, and I had the door to the bathroom open, and I was getting dressed. She got the biggest smile on her face. I don't know if you've ever seen a dog smile,
hmm
but she had this big, huge smile on her face, and I just got so self conscious. I thought, as far as I was, the way she was looking at me, I could just hear her thinking, "Oh my God, that's what you people look like. That's what humans look like without clothes on." I was self conscious, but she was a good dog. It was so sad when I had to put her out of her
yeah,
misery like that, but
yeah, I know. We miss them
collecting
so
dogs.
much when they
But
go. Yeah, I try to enjoy them as much, even when
oh,
they irritate me. I try to enjoy them as much as possible.
oh yeah. Well, even when they irritate me, I still love them.
Oh yeah.
So
Including this fuzz butt right here, who, whenever I start getting on a streamer over there, he decides he wants to come over, play with the microphone, this and that. It's like, you had plenty of time to come over and talk to me earlier. Now you want to come over? Okay.
well, I saw him standing on your shoulders once. I don't remember if it was on King Dolphin or if it was one of the other live streams I was watching
Oh.
later.
Mm.
But
Yeah, it
what
might
an
have been.
egg! Your cat let walk around.
Yeah, that one, and then of course we have little girl. She's a little orange tabby, and but she's probably going to be going away here soon. We're kind of holding on to her. My mother-in-law, kind of a sad story there in some ways. My mother-in-law, she has bad knees. She's going to have a knee replacements here, and she has I think it's a Papillon or whatever for a dog. And and
Mm.
she's older, and she's got those eye problems, and it kind of came to a point that financially and everything, she's going to have a hard time trying to take care of the eyes. They do drops and all that. So they're looking to rehome her with someone to help, for her last couple of years, or that she's around.
Excuse me. Sorry. You still there? Is it me again? Can anybody in the chat hear me? John?
Am I back? Hi. Now it's my turn to drop out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was
I got
asking
jealous.
John if it was me.
Yeah, I was getting jealous here. You kept on going out. I thought, hey, I'm going to do it this time. Hey, Andy. Welcome, Andy,
Hey,
along
Andy.
with
What's up, man?
I'm waiting for him to make a Wendy Webb Trauma Warrior action figure.
I would love to have one of those, man.
And
That would be
um,
awesome. Then I
as
could
long as,
dance it
as long as,
around and make everybody jealous.
of course, you have to have the action firework boob explosions going on with
Yeah,
that too.
that was funny. Well, I mean, he sent that to me because after he realized that I wasn't offended when they made the boob armor fit for hire, he
hmm
decided to take it a step further, and he showed it on King Dolphin TV with the fireworks coming out of the boobs, like
Yeah,
what was it on Austin Powers?
yeah, the
Oh, what was the name
fembots.
of
Yeah.
those? Yeah, the fembots.
hmm
Yeah, with their guns.
How does it feel to be a fembot warrior trauma warrior?
I actually kind of like it. I
I
think it's cool. That
Figure she
was,
would.
I mean, that was so cool. I mean, Pet for Hire was apparently surprised that I wanted to use it as my avatar, but it's the
Hmm.
best avatar I've ever had.
Yeah,
Usually, it's
it is
just
a nice one.
pictures of me or a flower or something,
Hmm.
M-
Yeah,
something I'm
that,
proud to
that
show off.
I was just going to say that if there's something that seems to catch the spirit of you, that's it right there.
Oh, well, thank you.
If I do see so myself, and that's the other thing about Fed for Hire. I mean, Fed for Hire does this stuff without even us asking. All of a sudden, something pops up,
I
and it's like,
know.
whoa! It's like
Yeah,
Fed for Hire, and even Andy with what has done. All of a sudden, things show up, and it's like all this detailed work that he does. And again, like I was talking about before, the community, the people that are chatters and all that, how wonderful they are, and
they
it
are.
just
I was
amazes
just
me.
brought to tears by everybody and their concern for me when I was hit by the car. I was brought to tears. I
Hmm.
was just so humbled. And it was just so, I think the hardest part for me about it was that I'm a trauma nurse, I'm a trauma surgical nurse, and I
Hmm.
was the freaking patient. And
Yeah,
I was really suffering being the patient instead of the nurse. But the community
I
just humbled me.
I can imagine you were a pain being there because you just hated being in there. It's like I'm on the wrong side of the bed. I should be out there doing something. I shouldn't
Yeah.
be here and all that.
Yeah. Nurses and doctors call that the wrong side of the needle.
Wrong side of the needle. There we go. I knew it was something like
That's
that.
the wrong side of the needle. Yeah, we're the wrong side of the needle. Yeah, it sucks.
And it
It
looks like
sucks. I mean,
uh,
you know everything that's happening. I was awake, but I was hit by the car. I never lost consciousness. I didn't lose consciousness until they sedated me and put a breathing tube down my throat in the emergency room. I was
wow.
conscious the entire time. And I was bleeding pretty badly. I could see my own belly swelling up because I exercise a lot. I'm
Mm,
5'5" and I weigh 120 pounds. So my belly was starting to look like I was pregnant. It was growing
ugh,
so big, full of blood from the spleen being ruptured.
mm.
Had the amputee guy turn out? Andy's asking.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you probably didn't hear about that.
No, I
Um,
haven't.
Friday
I
night.
mean,
Friday night. He's doing okay. Friday night, we got a phone call. There was a guy out on an oil rig, and he was wearing long sleeves. And something in the machinery caught his sleeve and sucked his arm into the machine.
ooh.
And we the Coast Guard went out there, and the medic apparently he made the right call because whenever we got out there, I realized right away this wasn't something that a medic could do by himself. The
Hmm.
medic made the decision that they needed a surgical team to come and do the amputation on scene because he was still hooked, he was still caught up in the machinery. And
Hmm.
so the Coast Guard came, flew over to our hospital, picked up myself, the trauma surgeon, and the nurse anesthetist, and flew us out to the oil rig so we could amputate his arm and bring him back. And he's doing all right. I mean, he doesn't have much of an arm left. He has a 3-inch stump.
Oh,
It sucked his arm in all the way up above his shoulder, all the way above the elbow, nearly to his shoulder. And the reason that the medic knew he couldn't do anything with it was because there wasn't even enough space for him to put on a tourniquet.
wow.
So a surgical team had to go out there and do it. And so, yeah, we did it.
Wow. It's
But,
like he definitely got lucky there. He got a good team. Obviously, he got a good team that came out there.
well, it was what was funny was I was the only one between the trauma surgeon and the nurse anesthetist. Neither of them have even written or have ridden in a helicopter before.
Hmm.
And the helicopter was an MH-65 Dolphin, which I need to remember to
Okay,
tell King Dolphin about.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, which is a search and rescue and a medevac helicopter for the Coast Guard.
Mhm.
And that's a big machine. But I used to fly in Blackhawks. And
Okay.
so, I whenever the surgeon, they brought out their flotation jumpsuits for us to get into because we were flying out over open water over the Gulf
Hmm.
of Mexico, and we're putting our jumpsuits on, and the surgeon looked at me, and he had this just turning pale white, and he said, "I've never flown in a helicopter before." And I just looked at him like, "Don't be a wuss, man. Just suck it up." He did all right. At least he didn't throw up. But
Yeah,
the way
that's
that
the
the
plus.
seating was, yeah, the way everything, the seating and everything, I ended up having to sit. I let them sit in the internal seats that were available, and I ended up sitting on one of the jump seats with my legs hanging out the side of the aircraft with the door
Okay.
open. Because I've done that before. I was in the army on Black Hawk,
Hmm.
and you know,
And
but they were
the people are
freaking
looking
out
at
when we
you.
took off because they didn't close the door. They didn't slide the door closed, and they
Hmm.
started freaking out because we took off with the doors open. That was the
Would you?
funniest part. But after that, they did all right. Once they realized that that was okay.
Mhm. Yeah, it's SOP. I mean, boom, we take off. This
Yeah,
you got to get in
yeah,
and out fast.
yeah, yeah.
How
They
how?
never even rotors were still going the whole time. At first, they were afraid to walk under the rotors, which were still
Hmm.
spinning fast enough to keep up, to stay up and not
Hmm.
droop. But yeah, that was it was definitely
How long did it
it was
take you to
funny
get out to
watching
the
them.
rig? Oh, I can imagine.
It
How
took
long?
us about it was about a 30-minute flight.
Okay, so it wasn't that far off of the
No, it wasn't
coast.
that far away. We weren't that far away. No, it was.
Okay,
I think it was about 10 miles off the coast. So it wasn't that far.
okay,
But by the time they come to the hospital, from the hospital to the rig was about 30 minutes. So it was an
okay.
hour-ish round trip. We didn't spend much time on the ground. I mean, we walked out there. We got out of the helicopter, and we got the surgeon and I started getting our instrumentation together. And I was putting
Hmm.
together the battery-operated surgical saw. And one of the guys that works on the rig, I snapped all the parts together. I decided to go with the reciprocating, and so I snapped everything in,
Hmm.
and I, hit the trigger to make sure the battery was working. And one of the guys on the rig said, "Women that know how to use power tools are so hot." I couldn't really say anything, but it was funny. I mean, I laughed, but I was kind of like in focus. But I heard him say it, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's hilarious!" And we spent from the time we touched down to the time we had him separated was only about 20 minutes. And
Okay,
within 20 minutes, we were already taking him back to the helicopter and getting him out of there.
mm.
Amputations don't
And
take very long.
no, normally not. No, just have to make sure that they don't bleed out and fun stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, what we did was we just put a bunch of big clamps over everything that would bleed and sawed
Hmm.
through it and left the clamps on him and flew him back to the hospital. And that's when we went back and did all the suturing and tied
Hmm.
everything off and took the clamps off. So,
I mean,
but yeah,
the
that
closest
was
I got
my
to.
exciting Friday night.
Oh wow, that's it. I'm going to be listening in on Friday to the frolics. It's been too
Hopefully,
long, and
we
I'm
won't be
missing all the
busy.
fun. I hope not. No, I
Hopefully,
mean,
we're not going to be busy. We've been busy the last few weeks, and it's been kind of late before I'd even been able to get on and say anything. But hopefully, we're due for a good Friday night.
yeah. I mean,
We're due.
yeah,
We're overdue.
yeah. I finally get this little period. I think it's because people get bored with the weather and all that stuff. It's like all of us have been saying that January and going to February and coming at the end of December just kind of and I think with that, people start doing stupid things and start filling up hospital beds because of it. And of course, the coof, um,
Yeah.
making things weird. But yeah, eventually that's got to level out and give people a little bit of a breather. I'm even finding that a little bit now with my work. We've been so busy, 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 and this last few days actually hasn't been going by that bad. And I work in a different type of emergency response, but nothing as
Well,
important like you do. But
well, it's to me okay. Whenever this pandemic started and everybody got put in the quarantine, staying in the house for months,
hmm.
surgeries were actually canceled for several months in our hospital. The only
Hmm.
surgeries being performed were urgent, emergent, and traumas. So, I mean, my
Yep.
team, we still had to be at work. A lot of the OR crew that works on the regular elective shifts, they didn't really, they didn't get to come into work, but we had to keep coming in. Nothing was happening. I mean,
Hmm.
for a whole weekend, not even my trauma pager would go off once during 2020 up until about October was whenever we kind of started getting people starting to come back out again. But for so
Hmm.
many months, there was nothing. I mean, we were just sitting there for appendectomies, bowel obstructions, things like that we were doing in the middle of the night. But
Hmm.
it's like people are making up for lost time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the way it was up here. I mean, for me to have some of the stuff I need to have taken care of was put on hold because of that, and which was injections in my back and stuff like that. Which was getting me frustrated and all that. But yeah, now people are coming out more and more, kind of like the groundhog out of the hole and all that. Oh, and
Cheyenne.
there's hi Cheyenne, how you doing? Well, if my dog barked, you need to have your dog go
Yeah,
bark.
Cheyenne's got to do her part now.
She sings
Oh my
wonderfully. I
goodness.
think that's one of the best singers I've heard in a while.
She is a good singer,
Definitely.
aren't you? You like to sing. Oh, yes, you do. Oh. Like, okay, you've been looking at that computer long enough.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Huh.
they do. It's like, yeah, it's time for you to play with me. Time for you to play with
Yeah.
me. What are you doing? That's just a TV.
She's staring at her leash.
Oh, we know
She's
what that
barking
means,
and
boys and
staring at
girls.
her leash. She That means I got to get another 30 minutes before she actually tries to pee on the floor. So,
Okay, and of course, and I'm sure we'll be done before then because we're coming close to the 2 hour mark. So, and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
definitely. Is there any other little stories you want to end on? It can be supernatural. It can be trauma.
Well,
It
there
can
was one
be
thing I was going to
uh,
just ask you myself, and this is just out of curiosity because my
yeah.
dad believes that there are big. My dad claims he's seen Bigfoot. Do you believe in Bigfoot?
You know, part of me does actually. I do believe there's something that's out there. What it is, I don't know. I mean, because of course the relative to Bigfoot is the Yeti out in the
Yes.
Himalayas and all that, and all the reports they had off of that. Um, I do believe there's something out there, but uh, again, what is the fake stuff and what's the real stuff? That
Right.
makes it kind of.
Well, I will say this. My dad was in Vietnam
Mhm.
and he saw them fighting in Vietnam
Really.
during the war. He saw them. And he said that
Oh.
they would shoot at them, but they couldn't kill them.
Hmm.
And I was
Well,
just
I mean,
wondering what your take is on it being up there closer to the forest than I am.
yeah, I mean, they actually shot at him, or they actually did shoot him,
Yeah,
and wow, and they
my
didn't
dad
go
was a
down at
sniper. He
all.
said he shot it. He shot it. He
Huh?
was a sniper. It didn't go down.
Wow, B. Yeah, I
But
mean,
that's
we
kind of
don't
the
necessarily.
supernatural paranormal.
Yeah, I mean, up in our area, we don't necessarily have where we are with a lot of the Sasquatch tales and such. That goes a little bit more to the west. I know we've had some. 24 Fusion was asking me about that. He was kind of disappointed in my answer. I know because it's like we've actually had more UFO stories in Minnesota than we've actually had anything to do with like Sasquatch or all that. But I found that's more as you get hear stories that more towards Oregon and Washington where they have a lot of
Hmm.
the more heavily, and we do
Right.
have some pretty heavily forested areas up north with the boundary waters, as we like to call it. Um, I think we do have. I mean, I'm ashamed of myself because I always kind of prideful of Minnesota and shoot my Minnesota facts off left and right. I can't right off the top of my pointed little head make any comments on of supernatural per se that's been prominent, other than various haunted houses that we have. houses that they
Hmm.
claim are they have that are haunted. There is a restaurant called the Four Paws, I believe the name of it is, down in downtown St. Paul, right across from the first governor's mansion, where the first governor lived. Actually, the Ramsey House they call it, and they claim that place is haunted on there. And I remember hearing those stories and then going to eat, and it's like, oh, am I going to see? Am I going to see a ghost? Am I going to see a ghost? What's the ghost?
We actually have. I live down in South Texas, the southern tip of Texas. I live in what's called the Rio Grande Valley, which
Okay.
it's just a combination of a bunch of cities in the Rio Grande
Hmm.
Valley,
Okay.
and from Laredo to Brownsville. And there is this was actually a featured video on that paranormal caught on camera TV show on
Hmm.
Travel Channel. It was a guy, a businessman. He was staying at a Motel 6 in Harlingen, and his phone in the hotel room kept flying off the hook on its own, and he videotaped it. And so that's
Huh.
like the big thing down here, because there's actually something from down here in the Rio Grande Valley that's made it onto TV,
Okay.
the major TV. And I mean, there's other. I know when I was growing up, there was this old house that people used to say were haunted, but I was always too scared to go in.
Hmm.
Not so much because I believed there was something in there, because I just kind of believed that my friends were going to start trying to prank me.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. It's not that there's something in there, but it's the other. It's like then you kind of hope
Yeah,
that if your friends are pranking you, then the real ghost will get them, saying, "Hey, you're muzzling in our
yeah.
territory."
In my luck, there wouldn't have been real. In my luck, there wouldn't have been any in there to smack them around.
Yeah, and that's just it. It's like you guys are letting me down.
Yeah,
Here's your perfect opportunity to really scare somebody, and you're not doing it.
yeah. I kind of, because of my dad, I believe that there is another creature we haven't found yet, because we're still finding species all the time. And if this is a creature
Oh yeah.
that lives in caves or underground, and
Hmm.
only comes out to forage, then
Right.
it's possible.
And yeah, it doesn't need to have a huge
Maybe they bury
population
their
either.
dead.
Yeah, we
Right.
don't know. I mean, and of course, the legends of these creatures go back even before there was Europeans that were
Yeah.
trouncing around here. So,
Right.
I mean,
I'm actually, yeah, I'm half Native American, and
okay.
yeah, even I'm Comanche, and we believe in it. Their stories, all the Native American cultures have
Hmm.
stories that go back way farther than anything where they can have picture proof, video proof. Their
Hmm.
stories.
Right. Hmm.
So,
And
oh, even
every
the
culture has that.
yeah, even the Native American cultures. And I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's called ah the Frisco. It's just like these walking legs with a body and a head with no arms. Oh God, I
Okay.
know it every other day except today.
Mm.
Frisco Nightcrawler. That's it. The Frisco Nightcrawler.
Yeah. 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 Hmm.
Have you ever heard of that? It's just these two. It's like just two really long legs with maybe a short body
Hmm.
and a head, but no arms. They've only got two different videos that they've ever
Yeah.
captured that are on the internet. There's actually, back in Native American culture, for hundreds of years, have reported these things, saying that they are there and they are nature's protectors, and that's what they are to the Native American cultures. Is they are the protectors
Okay.
of nature.
Okay.
So even those are weird.
Yeah, it's like, do we want them as our protector? Well, if they're scaring the people away, sure. Well,
But Andy, he used to be part Native American. My grandmother was a full-blooded Comanche. So I know that for a fact. I don't need a DNA. She looked like Comanche. She that's why yeah, I've got the bone structure of in my face of Native American, the high cheekbones and the kind of wider
hmm.
face. Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
look a lot like my grandmother.
I remember I worked with a guy, and uh, he's pretty. I don't know exactly, but I mean, he was pretty heavily blooded. And he sat back and said that he was proud of the fact that he had dry earwax because it means it traces it back to like the Mongolians in Asia. So he
Mhm.
said, that's how you can tell that you have that lineage going back. on that one. So I always found that
Well, I hadn't
interesting.
heard that,
I
but
don't know.
I have that problem too. But I'd never heard that before, but I have that problem too.
Yeah, he says that was one of the that's the traits of like the Mongolian and the other Asiatic.
Is it me or you? Oh, good. Must not be me this time. Your grandmother was supposedly half Cherokee. What about skinwalkers? Yeah, Sherry. What about skinwalkers? That is another very, very. To me, from what I've heard from my grandmother, those are real. The shapeshifters.
Hi, I'm back. And John's right. It was your chance to sing. Uh, I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with my internet. It's, everyone seems to be having a problem with the internet lately. I found
I say we
lately.
blame
So,
StreamYard.
oh yeah, see him right. It's all your fault.
Now's my chance. You don't want to hear me sing, John. Trust me.
Oh, actually, of all the people out there, he'd be the one who does.
Hopefully, as soon as Olga's feeling better, we'll get her on King Dolphin TV and let her sing there. You can get your fill.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Well, we're reaching up with that 2 hour mark on the show, Wendy. You have been a
Yeah,
delight. I hope sometime I can get you to come back if you want to. Hopefully, I didn't scare you away too
absolutely.
much.
No,
Enjoyed it, and I know you have all sorts of other.
I'll give you one more funny up the butt story
Oh,
before I go.
this is our
How's
up the butt
that?
story for. There we go. We need that up the butt
To say
story.
goodbye. That's right.
Okay.
So we had a
Buddha
guy
and the
one night that all he told his sister was that he needed to go to the emergency room and he wouldn't tell her why. And they discovered that he had an apple in his rectum, a full apple. But he didn't want his sister to know. And so took him up to surgery. The surgeon delivered this full apple out of his rectum. It was a pretty big apple too. I was kind of impressed. So the surgeon goes to speak to the sister, and he comes back to the room, and he's rubbing his temples, and he's doing this double face palm thing. And I asked him, I said, "What's wrong?" He said, "You're not going to believe what the sister asked me." I said, "What?" He said, "She asked me how he could swallow it whole." He was just at first I thought he was kidding. I was like, "Yeah, right." He's like, "No, I'm serious." I mean, he did. He had the most serious look on his face. Like, "I am not kidding. She wants to know how he swallowed it whole."
You know what? I'm gonna have to tell that story tomorrow at work. We have a lady who has been doing this apple diet, where you like eat so many apples a day for so long. Of course, she found out, oh, why am I having explosive diarrhea? This story I'm gonna have to tell her.
Yeah.
How did
You're right, Andy. It didn't keep the doctor away.
uh,
I think it was that the anesthesiologist, after he heard this, he was sit. We were all just kind of standing there in shock, like, seriously? And the anesthesiologist, just as casual as could be, said, "Her neurons just don't fire right."
yeah.
But I thought that'd be a good going away laugh for you, everybody.
Oh,
But yeah,
there we go. I
how
mean
did he swallow
that.
the apple?
I mean, just getting it into the first and the other way is amazing enough. It's like
That was
uh,
impressive. It was a pretty big apple. I didn't want to read the
rectum.
label. But
Uh, rectum. It nearly killed him. I mean, I always remember
yeah,
those jokes when I
really.
hear
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Well,
But
Wendy,
I
I
had it
hope you have
up the butt to begin and up the butt to end. I had a blast,
a
man. Hope you'll have me back
boot,
soon.
boot in the butt. Boot in the butt, as old Harvey had. So,
Everybody have a
okay.
good night. Take care and stay safe.
Well, I thank you so much again, and I hope to be on Friday night. In the chat this Friday. So hopefully you'll have a quiet night, and I can harass you in there as well.
Looking forward to it. Hope to see you there.
Great. Wonderful. And again, thank you so much, Wendy Trauma Warrior. I'm glad you're having a
Thank
good
you.
day off. Glad you had a great rest and enjoy that drink you got there.
Yeah, I just finished it.
Oh, there we go. Perfect
It
timing.
was just big
Perfect
enough
timing.
for 2 hours. That's right.
And
I can make me
of course,
another
I
one.
like. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Make me one while you're at it too. I'll be down there somehow and enjoy it. And of course, I want to, of course, promote tomorrow, next week's show. It'll be Buried After Dark with Zax, and he and I will be talking about all sorts of wonderful things, particularly the new Amazon Lord of the Rings series, Monstrosity. Yeah,
Ugh.
I, yeah, exactly. And of course, don't forget to catch
Okay.
me along with 24/7 Fusion Media, Fat Steven Seagal, and Vigilante Williamson every Sunday. Well, let's just say about 5:15. That's usually when we actually get going, Central Standard Time. And we'll see what we're going to be doing. Usually, we don't know until we hit the air. So uh, it can be any person's show, that's for sure. So, and for my guest here, Wendy Webb, again, I'm honored. Thank you for being here, and myself. I wish everybody out there a wonderful evening. And including and which puppy is that again?
That would be Cheyenne.
And good night, Cheyenne. Yeah, I hope you have a good night as well. Thank you, everybody, and take
Talk to
care.
you.